This is the EWN Podcast Network.
Welcome to Late Boomers, our podcast guide to creating your third act with style, power, and impact. Hi, I'm Cathy Worthington.
And I'm Mary Elkins. Join us as we bring you conversations with successful entrepreneurs, entertainers, and people with vision who are making a difference in the world.
Everyone has a story, and we'll take you along for the ride on each interview, recounting the journey our guests have taken to get where they are, inspiring you to create your own path to success. Let's get started. Hello, I'm Cathy Worthington. Welcome to our latest episode of Late Boomers. I'm here with my co-host, Mary, and we're trying to help and inspire our baby boomers and offer information and advice. Today we have as our guest, Anmol Singh, who made his name as a consultant in the trading and investing industry. In 2015, he launched Live Traders. Anmol has coached and trained over 1,000 investors and traders.
And I'm Mary Elkins. Anmol has published Prepping for Success, 10 Keys for Making It in Life. This book is about success and productivity and not about trading. We want to hear his advice on investing and about his philosophy on life, and we hope you'll find a lot of value in our conversation. Welcome, Anmol.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Us too, you.
Tell us a little bit about your background and how you discovered your talent and your life path.
Yeah, definitely. I was in college, in my dorm room, typical introvert kid, and was always on my Xbox. So for me, I always wanted to find what's something I can do from my computer, that I don't have to deal with office politics and, the colleagues and everybody else controlling my results. Like if I can just control myself in the computer with trading in the stock market, then, my results are not dependent on anybody. So that's kind of how I got into it. It was just, basically where most people would go out in their first year, second year college partying. I would be in there just like researching and reading and just, devouring all these books. And I just found myself getting really curious with it. I wondered, why do the stocks go up? Why do they go down? Who decides that? What makes it cause them to go up or down? And I just became really curious about it. And I just wanted to learn more. And that's how I originally got started back when I was 18 years old. And I've been doing that ever since.
Ah, that's great. That's like,
wow.
Well, that was,
So
go ahead.
You were just on a driven path. You were like the nerd to begin with, right?
Yeah, I think I still am for the most part. I just still love researching, still love learning about it. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started. It was just, I had a lot of time to myself. There was a time in college where you had to apply for like internships and get some work experience. I went to college in London in the UK. So you had to go through some internships. And that was the time where I saw all people in my dorm room, all my, mates, they all got great jobs and internships. And I was the only one that wasn't able to get a call back. And that was the time where it dawned on me, I can't just rely and sit here and waiting for something to show up. I have to go out and make something happen. And that's what got me into it.
You were definitely destined to work on your own and for yourself and create something. Yeah. That was the universe talking to you. We and our listeners are always interested in the spiritual life behind what makes our entrepreneurs very successful. Can you address some of your spiritual beliefs that have helped you in your path?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing is people mistake the concept of karma in the Hindu traditions, right? They talk about what goes around comes around, but that's not exactly how it's worded. It's basically like you don't worry about the result as long as you keep doing the right things and the right processes. If the result is meant for you, it'll show up in your life. But you still have to do the work to get the results. You can't just sit here, wait and chant and manifest it and just naturally going to show up. So there's also the karma is actually taking the action steps to make your goals a reality. And if it's meant for you, it'll show up in your life. If it's not meant for you, that's the universe telling you that, hey, maybe this is not your destination. Maybe you need to look somewhere else. So anytime I encounter failures, I just look at it like, okay, that door was not meant for me, right? And I can just have to find a different door that is meant for me. So I don't look down on the mistakes or the failures or, get down on myself based on that. I just have the perspective of the silver lining, which is something I talk about in my book, how everything is happening for a reason. it's happening for you, right? But you might not be able to see the reason in the moment when you're going through the tough times.
Yeah.
But looking back, you'll be able to connect the dots and see how that, actually worked in your favor. So I train myself to just look at everything from that perspective, that maybe I don't see the reason right now, but it'll be clear in due time, not in my time, in the universe's time, whenever it's right for me. So that perspective, gives me that positive outlook on life, and looking at things as, for you, not happening to you.
That's so important, so we don't interfere with it too much mentally. Like, just not judge it so much. Just say whatever happens is meant to happen a certain way. I love that. Tell us a little bit about mindset and how we can develop it and use it.
Yeah, I think mindset is something that is just like a muscle, right? If I go and train every day in the gym and work out, I'll eventually get the muscle. So, but for some reason with mindset, people have the perception that, I just don't have the mindset. I wasn't born this way, or nobody taught me that. But it all is just a muscle. You just got to develop it, right? So anything you want, you cultivate that. And it's the process of consciously catching yourself when you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. That's the hard part, right? Because reflecting back, we can always see things the right way, hindsight, right? The benefit of hindsight. But can you catch yourself in the moment when you're having any of those negative thoughts, or you feel like doing something you shouldn't be doing? The catching yourself, and that's what really mindfulness means, is being conscious of your thoughts, processes, and actions, but in real time. And that's the hard work. And you're going to fail. You're not going to do that all the time correctly, but just give yourself the grace and always focus on the next step. Hey, okay, I messed up this time, but starting tomorrow, here's what I'm choosing to do. Here's what I'm choosing to be. And I think just having that perspective keeps your eyes on whatever your vision is you want to create.
Well, have you always been that way? Have you always had that mindset, or did you have to develop it?
I think I'm still developing it every day. It just, it's a journey. So it's never something that, you get all this information. Now you're like, okay, I'm sorted now. My whole life's going to be perfect. But we all know it doesn't work like that. It's just a conscious process of always just striving for better. And just, also being honest with yourself. Like, don't kid yourself. A lot of times we negotiate with ourselves. It's okay. I'll do it next time. And those little breaks in what I call integrity is what's going to lead you not to get to your goals. So integrity is doing what you said you're going to do, and then doing it when you said you're going to do it. And doing it whether you feel like it or not, doing it because it's the right thing to do. So I think if you live by that, I think you're going to get closer to your goals. If you take action on your words and you honor your words, you believe in your words, and you follow through on them. Because if you don't believe in your own words, how do you expect the clients to believe in you? How do you expect the universe to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself?
That's really, really
and
true.
I was having a discussion with my daughter all about the words we use, and trying to tell her stuff that took me years to figure out, that if you have negative thoughts that are intruding, say they're keeping you awake at night, you need to replace those thoughts with different thoughts, because we can control how we think. And, what do you say to people, like I was explaining to her, when they come back with, well, that's just blind optimism, because you're always trying to think of positive things. And I say, yeah, it's really important to try and think of positive things as opposed to negative things. So what do you say to people when they put you down for saying that's just blind optimism, it's stupid? How do you answer?
Right. I think a good metaphor to use for that is, like, let's say if a farmer is at his field, right? And he is, let's say, not putting any seeds in there. So people would think, well, if I'm not putting any seeds in there, then nothing's going to grow. But that's not true. In fact, the weeds are going to start growing if you don't use the land correctly. So it's good to not have those negative thoughts. It's okay if you're like, I don't want to think this positivity. I don't believe in that. I just want to not think negative. Great. But if you replace the negative, but you don't replace it with something, well, then negative is going to grow back again. Weeds are going to grow back again. So just like a farmer, he has to plant something. So once you replace your negative beliefs, or you remove your negative beliefs, it's really important to replace them with something positive, so something's taking its place, right? If you don't do that and you just focus on getting rid of the negative, well, it's going to grow back again, and it's going to keep showing its head up. So it's important to replace that with something positive, just like a farmer would. And I mean, positivity works. It's scientific, actually, right? Placebo is a real thing. If scientists, anytime they're coming up with a medication, they first test it on placebo. Why? Because placebo works more than half the time for a lot of people. Why? It's the power of belief. So even if you don't believe in spirituality, and even if you just look at it scientifically, that it's actually giving you a better edge than not having anything, use it scientifically if you're not believing in spirituality, right? It's working anyway. So might as well use it to your advantage.
And they also say that people who are more optimistic and positive live longer.
Right. Yeah.
I like the example of the farming, though. That's an excellent way to express it. Because, yes, the weeds will grow.
Absolutely.
I knew you'd have an answer for us on that. I'm very happy with that. Good answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about your views on success and how our audience of boomers can develop their views on their own successes?
Yeah. So my definition of success has evolved and changed over time. In the beginning, it was all about like, if I just made this money, I will be successful. Right. And, guess what happened? I made all that money, but then my health was a complete mess. And I was like, am I really successful? Like, I got this money, great. But if my health is a mess, is that really success? And the answer was no. So then same way, if let's say my health is great, my finances are great, but my relationships are a mess. I can't even get along with people. Is that really success? It's not. So my definition evolved and changed over time. So now the way I define it is when you're sitting by yourself and nobody's watching, how do you feel about yourself? Right? If you can honestly say, I'm doing the right things, I feel great about myself, then you're successful. Then you don't have to compare your success with somebody else's success, right? You just compare yourself with how you were yesterday or the day before or the week before. So as long as you can honestly sit with yourself and really feel good about your actions and where you're at, that's what I consider true success to be. But true success really is having harmony in all of those areas: health, wealth, love, and happiness. It's not just one dimensional. That's not really successful. You can say you're financially successful, but true success is being successful in all areas of your life, or at least you being okay with where you're at in all of those areas. So I think that's what I consider to be true success. And the first thing for people is to define it. What does success mean to you, right? Take some time for yourself and really think about, if you had a magic wand and you can just wave that and live the life you want, what would that look like? And be really vivid with it, right? Like, how much money would you need, right, to be considering you're successful? And a lot of people have a higher number than what they actually need, because they never did the math on, if I wanted to do all these things that I wanted to do in my life, what would it actually cost me? And the number is usually much lower than people think it is. So you can still do those things now. You don't have to wait till one day you have millions of dollars to be able to do them. Start taking action now. Define what success means to you, and don't compare yourself to anybody else's success.
That's great.
That's very, very good advice. I love that. And now, this is a heavy question. Please give us some insights into your views on the stock market right now, and tell us how you advise your live traders group to proceed these days.
Yeah, so there's two types of people I would give different pieces of advice to. So somebody who is, let's say, doing this every day like I am, right? This is my day-to-day stuff. I do it every single day. So if you're somebody who's looking to do this as a career, it's going to be different, because we're going to be trading stocks. So we're going to be in and out all the time, and it doesn't really bother us what the market's going to do, what the economy is going to do, because we're always just in and out all the time. But for somebody who is watching this, you're like, you know what, I have another job, I have another business, I don't have any desire to sit in front of my computer like you all day, I have my other stuff going on. For them, I always tell them, then you don't even need to worry about the economy or the stock market or whatever's going on in the news. You just get in the process of constantly investing every week or every month. So if you have a business or you have a job, take a percentage of that, whatever you can do realistically, 5%, 10% of your income, and just automatically keep putting it away in the market. And if you do that, research, obviously, you can go back to all the way to 1800s, 1900s. If you do that every week, every month, deposit into your account, you're going to double your money every 6 to 7 years, right? So plan it out like that. And the market has always been higher than where it was 10 years ago, every single time. We've seen the COVID crash. We've seen the Ukraine-Russia war. We see the Palestine thing, right? We've seen the Greece debt crisis. We've seen so many things in the world, but guess what? The market's still higher than where it was even when those crashes happened. So a lot of people don't invest, and that's the biggest mistake you're going to make, because people look at, but market's at the all-time high. Should I really be doing it now? Well, it's going to be higher 10 years from now, right? So the answer is yes. So you have to be okay with living through those pullbacks and not watching the prices every single day. Just invest for the long haul.
And not pull it out when things look like they're going bad. Just keep it there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because most people would time it incorrectly. And you might time it, let's say you were right. You got out of the market, perfect. Markets dropped 20%. You feel really good. But if you never buy it back, well, markets are much higher than where it was even after the 2020 crash. We've gone up almost double from 2020 crash. So it's like you're going to miss out on a big chunk. And if the inflation's at 6%, you keep your money in a bank account earning 4%, you're still losing 2% per year.
That's right.
Right? The purchasing power for a dollar, which was a dollar in 1970s, right, is worth roughly 10 cents in today's money.
Ooh, 10 cents.
Yeah, 10 cents. Really, you're going to need $4.81 for each dollar to get the same buying power.
That's pretty scary. So if you put money under your mattress in 1970, you'd be really in a bad way.
Yeah, you'd lost 90% of the purchasing power. You wouldn't be able to buy the things you could with that amount of money back then. To try to buy it now, it's going to lose 90% of the value. So, but if you do it in the stock market, you're going to come out ahead of it, right? And your money is going to double every 6 to 7 years. So not only are you maintaining the purchasing power, but you're actually building more wealth on top. And the earlier you start, the better it is. It's like a snowball effect,
So do you think it's best to be invested all in equities or to spread it out amongst the offerings out there, the bonds and crypto and all of that?
It'll be different for different age groups. So if somebody's, let's say, in their 20s, 30s, you have the benefit of time, right? So even if the market crashes and takes like 3 years for it to come back, you have the time, right? So it's not a big worry. So I think if you're early in your career, in your first, second half of life, you should be all in equities, right? And maybe take a 5 or 10% of that. You could have some crypto if you really love it. You're like, I want to have some exposure, or you really believe in it for whatever reason. Then yeah, I think 5 or 10% of your account is reasonable number for have. But
that's
now if you're, let's
say, boomers or
in your 20s, 30s, 40s. But what
about older people?
Yeah, so if you're older, then I would suggest kind of dividing it a little bit. So maybe instead of 100% in equities, maybe you have 60% equities, 10% bonds, right? Some gold, some silver, some more safer stuff that isn't going to go up as fast, but also isn't going to go down as fast either. Because if you have 100% in equities and let's say you're 70 years old, 80 years old, 60 years old, and you might foresee that you might need some money in the future for retirement, then if the stock market goes down, well, you probably don't have the benefit of waiting 5-10 years for it to come back up. So that way you want to have some in cash for your emergency funds that you might maybe need someday. Mm-hmm. And then rest of you should have like gold, silver, some equities, some bonds. So you're more diversified.
So you like gold. Do you invest actually in real gold and real silver or like actual, mutual funds? What do you do?
Yeah. So personally, I like physical gold just because, it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. Like I bought it, I put it in my safe. I don't have to look at it.
Really?
Right? Because when you see it in your account as an ETF, let's say, of GLD, which mimics the price of gold, right? And you can hold the same thing too. But then me as a trader, because I'm watching it every day, I get tempted to want to get out, tempted to sell it, tempted to do all those things. But if it's a physical gold, I just tuck it away. I almost think about it like it's not there. I don't have that money anymore. It's gone.
Is it easy to sell?
Yeah, very easy to sell. Very easy to sell gold. And you can sell it anywhere in the world. That's the best part about that. And if, like Bitcoin is great, but let's say something happens, there's a global blackout or electricity is down. Well, Bitcoin's not really useful anymore because you can't really send it to anybody if internet's down or whatever. With gold, you can take it, sell it anywhere in the world, and you'd still be able to get your money.
What percentage of gold would you say people should keep if they can get it?
I think similar advice as earlier. Like if you're older, maybe more majority of your portfolio should kind of start going into gold and silver, maybe 30, 40, 50% of it, in fact. But if you're younger, then gold should be only used as a vehicle of saving your money. So if you have a percentage of your income from your job, your business, or maybe you're trading in the markets and you percentage of your income, you just keep taking it, right? So every month, if I had a great month, I'll take some money out, buy a couple gold coins or whatever, and just use that as a form of, saving my money, but money that I control, that it's not in a bank. So I'm avoiding any potential global risk that might happen.
It became a big deal about a few months ago when Costco started selling gold bars. Because now at Costco, you can buy a gold bar.
You can?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. All the Costcos sell them.
I didn't know that.
Kind of amazing. And people really, really were. There was like a run on it at Costco. Like all the Costco shoppers were buying it for a while. And I just thought that was so strange.
Did you buy some?
No.
Oh, I should have.
I didn't. But maybe I should have.
Yeah. When they launched it, I think they launched it for $1,900 or something an ounce, and now it's almost $3,000 an ounce. So people who did buy it back then, did a really good job.
I think it's about a year ago, something like that. They got into it.
I remember they were doing the Pam minted gold bars there, and they were selling it for less premium than what you would get from a gold dealer. So they were offering one of the best prices on that.
Wow.
Yeah, they would.
Wow. Well, a lot of entrepreneurs behind all of that, I'm sure. And on that note, can you advise our audience of boomers who want to still be entrepreneurs or who are looking at their own lives? Can you advise them on what they should be thinking about when they're starting out or as they progress in their business? Is it all about purpose and passion?
Not really. I think, because my view on passion is that if you're good at something, you're automatically going to get passionate about it, right? If you're bad at something, you're not really going to be passionate about it, right? So I always tell people, like, follow the passion is a great advice, right? It sounds really good, but you also have to get good at it, right? And that's one of the things I remember when I first came to New York and I wanted to like meet all these hedge fund guys, and so I donated to all their charities, had to just have lunch or dinner with these billionaires. And I always hated that because the only advice they would always give you would be like, follow your passion. I'm like, oh, that's great. I've heard it all before. You said that on TV. Like, I'm here to get some actual advice. And they would always tell you, follow your passion. But that doesn't help somebody who's just starting out, right? Like, what should I do next? I don't know what I'm passionate about. Most people don't.
Right.
So one thing I realized is like, I could be passionate all I want about basketball, right? But I'm short. I'm probably not going to ever get good at it. So it doesn't matter if I'm passionate about it, right? Whereas if you know anybody who's who's passionate about their craft, they're also good at it. So I always tell you, get good at it first and watch, you'll automatically become passionate if you're good at it, right? So I think that's one of the things with passion. But for most people starting out, entrepreneurs starting out, I mean, you have to define who you're serving, right? What market are you serving? What value are you bringing to them? Because money is only exchanged because you're exchanging value for money. So they have to see that the value outweighs what you're going to charge them for your product or service. That's the basic thing you have to get down. And then try to speak to just your target audience, not everybody. I think that's the mistake people make. They go too general. They want to talk to everybody, but you'd be better off like annoying 50% of the world, right? Because if you talk 50%, then the other 50% are going to love you. But if you try to appease to everybody, you're going to attract nobody. So I think that's one of the things you got to do. And you see that used in the world these days. Even in politics, people use the same thing. It's the same exact strategy of you create that divide. So you speak directly to your audience, where your audience is going to go out on a bat for you. And the rest of them, they were not going to buy from you anyway. But people, or even politicians that go too general, they don't appeal to anybody in doing that.
Yeah.
So I think that applies to marketing as well.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I know for podcasting, they always tell us, drill down, figure out who your audience is, have an avatar listener. And we're trying to do that more and more and, kind of cater to our name, which is Late Boomers, and feature advice and inspiration for people who need us, really. So, and tell us about your live traders group and how that came to be. I'd love to hear about it.
I started that in 2015. So I've been trading the markets since 2010. That's when I started. It's on my 15 years. So 5 years into it, I was working for another company. So I would trade their money. So it's called a prop firm, where the company gives you their money. They hire all these traders, and all the traders are basically trading the company's capital. And in exchange, the company would take a percentage of everything you made because they gave you the money to do that. So I started working under the company for a long time. And then the CEO called me to say, hey, you're doing really well in our firm. Why don't you come in and coach the newer hires that we're bringing into the company? So that's how I got into coaching initially, is they would bring on new people and I would be responsible for training them. So I did that until about 2015. And then 2015, they got bought out by a different company. And that was the decision I had to make. I was like, well, I've saved enough of my own money now. I shouldn't really be giving them a percentage of everything I make. I could just do it on my own. So in 2015, when they got bought out, I decided not to join the new company. And I started Live Traders as a way of guiding newer people coming into the stock market and showing them the reality of trading, how it actually works, rather than the perceived, marketing hype that you see online.
That's great because you used your own advice. You became very good at something, and then that became your passion, right?
Yeah.
So how does the Live Traders group work? How does that work? Are they logging on for instruction from you? I assume it's all remote, or how do you do it?
Yeah, so we have a lot of different courses and trainings that people can, go through, and those are all like on demand online. People can watch it. There's hours and hours of lectures on there, so that's where they get a lot of their training from. But then the reason we call it Live Traders is because I feel that it's great and all to learn from a course, but unless you watch somebody do it live in real time when the market's open, that's where the real learning takes place. So I stream myself trading every single day, Monday to Friday from 9 o'clock till 12 o'clock. I go online. People see my camera, they see my audio, they even see my screen. So they can see me trade while I'm talking them through what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. So not only is it a great learning experience, but then they also see what I'm getting in and out of all the time. So they can get a good sense of it. So that's why we call it Live Traders. So people log into that every day and kind of trade with me almost like they're sitting next to me. I try to create the environment that I had trading in a company full of traders, but now we do it virtually online.
Oh, that's interesting. How does someone get involved in your group?
How do you enroll people in this?
How do I enroll? So, usually social media is where most people would find us, either through, YouTube or either through other social media channels. So I post almost every day on like X and Instagram, just post my opinions and my thoughts on it, on the markets. And then also, we have a team, so they run ads to it as well. Like Facebook ads.
Are they paying a monthly subscription? Is that how it works?
Yeah, so for the live trading room, it'll be a monthly subscription, month to month, and people log in. And then the courses are just you purchase one time and then you have access for life to go over them. And then once a year, we'll do like a live event in person for 4 days. We did one in November in Dallas, Texas.
Oh.
So we had like 30 people there, and we just basically were there for 4 days, lock them in a room and teach them everything I know. So we do like Saturday and Sunday just teaching off the slides in the books. And then Monday and Tuesday, we actually do it together when the markets are open. So we, take them to 4 days.
That's the way you're partying now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my way to do it. Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great idea. What do you see for the future of investing and the stock market?
Yeah, I think the future is trading has got so accessible. When I started, internet speeds were slower, right? You didn't have all the great technology or the laptops with great powered laptops. You didn't have all of those. So you'd need all these screens back in the day, and you need all of that, right? You need great internet and also the technology. The softwares weren't there back in the day. Now it's like so accessible. People can just download an app on their phone and get involved. So I think this is going to get more and more popular as time goes by, as AI comes and replaces a lot of jobs. People are going to look to do something from home, right? And I saw that. We got a glimpse of that during 2020, right? When the whole thing happened, everybody was locked in home. That was the biggest influx that at least we saw at Live Traders of people wanting to come and learn, right? We didn't even advertise, but people would just go on the site randomly and sign up for courses and do all those things. We were like, where are they coming in from? And then, we put two and two together that a lot of people are home. So they're probably searching for things to do. And I think that's going to happen more and more. You're seeing that a lot of jobs are going to be either replaced by AI or even the government jobs are, being lost now. Yeah. So people are going to find something to do. And I think it's the age of online and it's not too late. A lot of people might think, but I'm late. All these people started all these podcasts, I'm starting late, but not really. Like we're still very early into the whole online space. So if you are in anything to do with online, whether it's be trading, the stock market, whether you are a content creator, whether you are running a podcast, this is the best time to put the foundation pieces together because this is the new media. It's replaced. The old media is gone. It's only going to get better.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we talk a little bit about algorithms. Could they create a problem, or would that be more of a positive thing for investors? Because I know a lot of companies right now are using algorithms to invest.
Yeah, for investing, you could definitely create algorithms because we are able to back test and see what a stock might have done over the last 20, 30 years. And based on that, people can create algorithms. But when it comes to trading, what I do in and out every day, I think that's still very dependent on the human being there present in real time to manage the risk on those positions. So I don't think that's ever truly going to go away because in the end, the algorithms are programmed by a human, right? And what happens then is once you start spotting those patterns, they start becoming predictable. And people have been trying that for many, many years. Even 10, 15 years ago when I started, people would be developing these robots or softwares or algorithms. But what happens is when they program something like that, it starts working, everybody starts using it, then it becomes predictable, and it stops working. So it's going to be that constant thing. I think that's why you're not going to be able to replace humans in trading or investing.
But are you saying that when people nowadays, I had a girlfriend that was very good in the stock market, and she did have an office with multiple screens all the time. And this was several years ago. But do you think now you can just do one laptop and have enough knowledge just on one screen?
Yeah, I suggest people have at least two. So maybe a laptop and an extra monitor, right? But yeah, when I travel, I still trade every single day, even when I'm traveling, and I am able to do all of that and live stream just on my MacBook, right? I don't need an extra monitor. If I do need it, I can just bring on another USB, those little USB monitors, which is just like an iPad. Or if you just put your iPad and that turns into a second monitor. So you don't need those things anymore. I think people like to have it because it looks cool. Look at my look at my office. I have all these
very cool.
Yeah, and I did that too. I had like 5 monitors. I would still only look at 1 or 2 of them, but it just looked nice to post on social media. Look at my amazing office, but you don't really need that. Yeah.
Okay, because I never am sure like what people are doing on all those screens.
Yeah,
it's kind of amazing. But you got to know what you're doing with all of them because you're controlling something on all of them.
Yeah. Plus, you only have 2 eyes. So even if you have 5 monitors, you can only look at one at any given time.
Right.
So I might as well just keep looking at the one and just switch the window rather than turning my head and ruining my neck while I'm doing it all day.
All right. What is on all those screens that's different?
Yeah. Some people have like charts of different stocks, different sectors, what the energy stocks are doing, what's gold doing. So they just kind of have it all in one screen. But I just pull it up when I want to look something up rather than, looking left and right and doing that all the time. But yeah, people have all different sorts of things. They might have whatever stocks they're in might be on one screen. Whatever looking to get into might be on another screen. They might have a list of things they're watching. Maybe they have the news open on one of them to see what's going on in the world. So people have all of that. But I think beginners might be tempted to get it. But once you've been doing it for a while, you don't really need all those things.
And it occurred to me when you were talking about how people just found you that as a business name, you chose Live Traders, and that was a smart business name choice. So how would you advise entrepreneurs to be on selecting a name for their business? Because that seems like it's critical.
I go back and forth on this one. I think the biggest thing if I was picking a name is first, what domain is available for that name? That's number one. If you have a great name, but if you have to make your domain really long or use like .xyz or something, then it's not as good. So first I figure out, okay, what domains are actually available that I can get in. I mean, ideally, one word you're not going to find any more domains available. The majority of them are taken. They're really expensive. But if you can find a domain which is 2 words or maybe 3 max, right, then that's what I would look to pick. But the name itself is not that important because, I mean, what does Apple really mean? What does Microsoft really mean?
Well, true.
What does Google really mean? So, like, those things don't have any meaning to what is ChatGPT? There's a lot of things that don't mean anything. As long as you are good at conveying the value to the market of what you can do, then the name is irrelevant as long as the domain is easy to find. And as long as you can get a .com, I think those are the things that I would look at.
Yeah, sometimes it is very hard to get a .com. Like my name as a .com disappeared years ago. Somebody's sitting on it. They're not using it. And I can't get it.
Yeah, same.
It's very frustrating. Your name too?
Yeah, mine .com is gone. I got the .net, but the .com is gone.
Yeah, I think I got a .net and I got a .tv, but who's ever going to type in .tv?
Right. I had a .tv too.
You did, because we were both actors, so .tv is kind of okay, but not great. No one knows there even is a .tv.
Right.
So, Anmol, what would you like our listeners to have as a takeaway today?
I think the biggest takeaway I would do is stop analyzing things too much and let's start getting to work. Because you much rather start, fail, and just quickly reiterate. So the way the entrepreneurship cycle should look is you make a decision, right? You apply that decision, and that might fail, and you learn from it. You implement, you make the tweaks, and you do it all over again. The quicker you can go through those cycles of starting, implementing, tweaking, fixing, the best entrepreneurs go through that really, really quickly. A lot of people who are take more time to succeed, they go through that very long. They make a decision, and just to make that decision, they might spend like a whole week on it, and then they might implement it, maybe not, and then they're like, "Oh, it failed. Oh, let me go back." But the thing is, you implement, make the mistake, take the feedback, make the tweaks, and the quicker you go through that circle, the faster your results are going to show up. And the other thing, what we talked about is integrity early on, is do what you said you're going to do, and do it when you said you're going to do it. So a lot of times people would say, but I'm a person of integrity. I follow through on my word. I'm like, really? When is the last time somebody called you and you said, "Hey, I'm just in the middle of something. Let me call you back," and you never did?
Yeah.
Right? Or you ran into an old friend at a shopping mall or airport. You're like, "Hey, so good to see you. We should totally make plans to catch up again." And you make no attempts to ever follow up with them or catch up with them. So you just said something you don't mean. Why do we do that? Right? To try to look good. We don't, try to be polite. But you're basically saying something that you don't mean. And that is a slippery slope, because then it convinces your unconscious mind that you're full of it. Oh, you're not going to do it. You just say things. You're not going to follow through. So the key is to get really good at follow through on your word, or just don't say it at all. Because I believe in the power of words. You put it out there in the universe, you got to make it happen. If you don't, that's going to result in low self-confidence, low self-esteem, and you're going to beat yourself over. Why do I keep doing this over and over again? So just make sure you say what you mean. And when you say something, you do it, and you do it when you said you're going to do it.
Oh, I love that.
I love that, because
that's great.
It really is the power of the unconscious mind. You don't want your unconscious mind to hear all the BS you're dishing up,
Yeah.
Very bad for our mindset. I love that you went back to the spiritual component right at the end there. It's really good.
So just do it, implement it, and do what you say.
Do what you said. And if you notice, like, I'll give you a quick example. I had this thing. I noticed in my own life, there was an area of health, which was a complete lack of integrity. I said, "Oh, I'm going to start working out from Monday." And then Monday comes and it's like the 28th of the month. So you're like, "I'm just going to start from the 1st. And then the 1st comes, but it's November 1st. I'll just start from January 1st. So we're just negotiating with ourselves, moving the timeline forward on our own goals. We're just delaying our own progress. So that's when I dawned on me, I can't just keep saying I'm going to do it tomorrow. I have to put things in place to ensure I do it when I said I was going to do it. That means putting it in your calendar, assigning a time slot. Are you going to do this tomorrow? Great. What time? 2 to 3? Okay, great. Let's put it in a calendar and make sure then we get it done. Things that get scheduled get done. Things that don't get scheduled, things will find ways to fill your calendar. And then you're going to be like, "Where'd the day go? I didn't do any of that."
That's so true. So true. Takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah, a lot of discipline. But that's where it's very rewarding. So every night in my journal, I write down the night before, what are the 6 things that I need to do tomorrow when I wake up? So I'm not like most people. I wake up, okay, what am I going to do today? Gee, how do I move my business forward? You're already late. You already missed the boat. So I write down the night before. If I just do these 6 things when I wake up, I consider myself a success for that day. That's it. So when I wake up, I don't care about the emails coming in, who's calling me, who's texting me. I just go by my calendar and start knocking those things down. Now, if I complete those 6 things by 12 p.m., I have the whole time in the world to play golf or for myself. If it takes me 9 p.m. to get those things done, then I'm sitting there until I get those things done. So I think that allows me a lot of flexibility, and I feel good about myself at the end of the day when I've done those 6 things.
That's great advice. Thank you for that. Thank you, Anmol. Our guest today on Late Boomers has been Anmol Singh, an expert on trading and investing, and he's the head of the company Live Traders. You can reach him on, and I'm going to read this, it is at Delta90 on Instagram, and that is at DELTA, and then the word spelled out NINETY. And on X, also the same thing, DELTANINETY. Thank you again. This is great.
And tune in next week when we'll have another exciting guest to inspire you. Please subscribe to our Late Boomers podcast on YouTube and take us along in the car and on walks on your favorite audio platform. Let us know what gets you inspired. We are on Instagram at I am Cathy Worthington and at I am Mary Elkins and at Late Boomers. Please share the Late Boomers podcast info with your friends who may not yet be listening to podcasts. Thanks again, Anmol.
Thanks for having me. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you for joining us on Late Boomers, the podcast that is your guide to creating a third act with style, power, and impact. Please visit our website and get in touch with us at lateboomers.biz. If you would like to listen to or download other episodes of Late Boomers, go to ewnpodcastnetwork.com.
This podcast is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and most other major podcast sites. We hope you make use of the wisdom you've gained here and that you enjoy a successful third act with your own style, power, and impact.